Hi guys! So I'm going to do this, and you're kind of my guinea pigs, um, but hopefully I'll have some information that you guys will enjoy. Anyways, and I'm losing my props. Uh, so I have been asked several times about tips for my travels and things like that. And so I've been toying around about doing some videos and things like that. But I'm not quite sure. I'm not positive. So this video is completely unedited. It's just going to be completely off the cuff, just to kind of figure out how to do it all. Because I'm older, I have to learn these things still. It doesn't come naturally to me. So you're my guinea pigs in that sense. But I do hope that I have some information that might help you guys on the cruise. So if you're watching this later on, like more than a week down the road from, June of 2022, my name is Natalie, and I have done some travel by myself, and so I've learned some tips along the way. I am not an expert. This video is not from an expert's point of view. If you want to find out from an expert, there's plenty of people you can do that locally or even watching on YouTube. I'm not that expert, but I have made the mistakes, so hopefully the mistakes that I've made, you don't have to make. So this video in particular is being made for our local folk dance group that is in our town, Swedish Folk Dancing. And they are going on a cruise, leaving at the end of this week. So these are some tips for you guys for that. But if you're watching it later and you get some tips out of this, great. That's fine for you guys too. First off, I've only been on 2 cruises. The first one was pre-pandemic. That one was also with the dancer group, so that one was 4 years ago. The second one was just a couple months ago, so post-pandemic, but they were both on 2 different cruise lines, and they were 2 different types of cruises. But there are some similarities, and there's some differences. The first thing that I would suggest is to go on to your cruise site. I believe you guys are doing Carnival again. Go there and read some of the rules. They might have changed since before COVID. So what I'm telling you for the Carnival aspect of it is pre-COVID. So things might be changed, and it's probably a different boat. And so that might be different for you guys. Go on there, read some of the rules and regulations, things like that. Extremely helpful. But otherwise, a couple of tips about the boat. I'm going to do some packing tips, what to pack at the end, but these are tips about the boat. So one of the very first things, and you still have this week to figure this out, and this was very confusing for me. It did not work out as what we had hoped it would do, as what was planned. It did work out, but it wasn't great. I did not realize that when you put money on a card, so I was a sponsor, I had 2 girls staying in my room with me. When the parent put money on their account, it actually went to the room account. I did not know that. That's mistake number 1. And then when we were going in, they were asking if we wanted to put money on the account when we were going through the line. Which again, I don't know is going to be different this time because the way they did it before, we were basically in a cattle line. So it might be more spread out now. But when we went up to the counter and asked if we wanted to put more money on, we were all separated because we weren't under the same name. We were in the same cabin, but we were not under the same name. So for some reason, we weren't together, if memory serves me correctly. And they said there was already money on, and I was confused about that. But again, I felt like I didn't have time to ask the questions because we were being kind of hurried on. So later on, I decided not to put money on then, but then we went to customer service later and put it on. But towards the end of the trip is when I realized that the lump sum that was already there was actually one of the girls's, and it, yeah. So look into that. If you are a sponsor, know who got what money for your room, so that you can do that. Also, as a sponsor, I would suggest going down to the customer service. If your kids can wait a day or so, or not a day, like, towards the evening, I would ask them if they could wait, and then go down to customer service, and what you can do is you can put a cap on them. So, say Susie Joe over here, her parents put $50, and Sally over here, Susie and Sally, they put $70 on their account. And then you personally put another $50. All of that money is all into the room, or at least it was for us. So then what you want to do is go down to customer service and say, Susie Joe is capped out at $50. Her card has a $50 limit. Sally over here, her card caps out at $70. You don't have to cap out your card because you're the adult in the room, and then, the money, you should know that you can't spend their money. Come on. Anyways, so that way they get their allotted money, but they can't go over it into someone else's money in that grouping. So that's one thing that I really, for sponsors, or even if you are a kid listening to this, you can tell your sponsor, hey, we should do this, so that you're not spending anyone else's money. It turned out, alright, so here's another mistake I made. Make sure your camera is fully charged before doing this. We'll see if this one works. I am not going to, start all over the beginning. I'm just going to splice those two together. I can do that pretty quickly, pretty easily. I've learned that one. That's for me. But yes, so I was saying to make sure that you go and do that, and so that everyone is spending their own money on the ship. Now, if you don't put any money on your card, then that makes it easier too. So there is that. And I will get to what you can buy on the ship later, so you can kind of gauge on how much money to put on there. So the next thing you might want to learn, and especially if you're kind of directionally challenged, when you are like in the building, you don't know what is port and what is starboard. For me, it's easy for me to remember that port is left from the front of the ship, because they each have 4 letters. That's how I do it. So when you're trying to find your room or something else, a lot of times either on the walls of the ship or even on the carpet, it will have an arrow saying this one is port, this one is starboard. So if you're trying to find your room again, know if your room is on port or starboard for one. I should be doing it this way, not that way. And then be sure you're looking at the carpets or the signs to know which side is which. This will also be important for your muster. So that takes place at the beginning before the boat even leaves the dock. And that is you learning the safety stuff. Where you go in case the alert sounds, and how to put on the life jackets, all of that stuff. Now I will say, pre-COVID, they all put us into a room and talked to us and did it that way. Post-COVID, on my last cruise, which again was a different cruise line, so that might make a difference as well, but they had us go down at our convenience before the boat left. It was during a block of time. At our convenience, we went down to where our station was. They gave us a small little talk there, and we were basically just in our family group. And then later on, they did an announcement over the loudspeakers. They did the test for the alarms so that we knew what that sounded like, and some other announcements that way. So I do not know which way they will do it this time. the first time pre-COVID Carnival Cruise, it was at this time everyone goes to their muster stations. The elevators were cut off at that time, so that you couldn't ride the elevators. You had to go down or up the stairs, whichever one. And so just because of the amount of people. That's another thing. During peak times, they might shut down some of the elevators. At the end of the cruise, when everyone's trying to get off, the elevators were shut down unless you had a disability. They had a couple of elevators for that. Otherwise, they shut it off just because so many people are trying. When you are getting off at different ports, it might be certain elevators. It's usually the middle elevators that you want to use, and you're getting off at the middle of the ship. But you're going to want to listen or read your sheet the night before when they give that to you at what elevators you need to go down to get off the ship. So that is important as well. And then familiarize yourself with the different elevators, where you can go. There's usually maps along the hallways, so utilize those as much as possible. Or buddy up with someone who's really good at navigating. So that's also helpful. Another thing you're going to hear a lot is the Lido deck. If you haven't already heard it, you're going to hear that a lot. The Lido deck is where the main pool is, and the other pools are usually on that deck just in the front or the back. That is also where the main dining area is. I don't want to call it a cafeteria. It's kind of a cafeteria setting where you like pick up your food and go, but the food it's great. It's amazing. There's usually, and you'll have to look, and it changes daily, so you'll have to look at your little flyer that comes to your room every day. But there is usually a station, at least one station, set up in the Lido deck from the start of breakfast until like 10 or midnight. The dessert station's usually one of the stations that stays open all day. I visited the dessert station quite a few times, just for a little snack. The drinks are usually up, and you have the water, tea, lemonade. I'll be honest, the lemonade's not to my flavoring. It's not that sweet, so just prepare for that. And then it could be different. Who knows? And then coffee's in the morning, milk in the morning. Coffee might be done all day long. I don't drink coffee, so I didn't pay attention to that. Sorry. I'm guessing coffee is, because it was included in other meals around. So, but those beverages are all free of the Lido deck. And so you can go in and grab that at any time. With that, Lido decks can be a little bit different, like the dining area of Lido decks. So on the first cruise, it was a much bigger cruise, and so there was actually one restaurant or area upstairs, like, so you had the main area, and then there was an upstairs portion, and that was your pasta area. And we went there on the first day, because it was kind of empty, we wanted somewhere empty. They had some really good pasta, so make sure you're exploring all the different sites, make sure you look at all the different signs. They usually have like a, what I would call a classic or a home-cooked station, and then they might have like a Chinese station, so for your Chinese food, and your dessert station. They usually have a salad bar, so yeah, check it out. It's going to be different on every cruise, I'm guessing, or at least from my cruises, that's the experience. So check out what they have, and make sure that you're getting what you want out of the Lido deck. For the kiddos, a lot of the time, you guys are probably going to be spending your time on the Lido deck. It's where everyone goes. Just know that the pools, if you have several pools, not just the main pool, the pools in the front or the back, wherever they are, they might be a little bit emptier, so you might want to check that out. Other dining tips, there is the main dining room. It's usually open in the evenings, and then sometimes on the sea days, when you're not actually docking or anything, it might have a breakfast. And those are really good and well worth it. They are already included, so in your price. You go, you get a reservation, you just go up to the front desk, say how many people are in your group. They will tell you or hand you a little thing and tell you when you're going to be seated and then call you. The more people you have in your group, the earlier you want to go to make your reservation so that you can make sure to get in there. If you only have a couple of people, it won't take you very long to get in there. But then you'll go, they'll seat you, and it is a sit-down dinner. But the good part, they'll bring out the appetizer menu, or on this last cruise, they brought out the entire menu, and you just ordered everything right then and there. And that might have been the first cruise, too, actually, now that I think about it. But they'll have an appetizer section. You can order one of every appetizer if you want to. You don't have to order just one. Me personally, I can't eat that much, so I would order just one, or I wouldn't order an appetizer because I wanted the main course and the dessert. Or another thing you can do is, if you're like me and can't eat a whole lot, but you want to kind of try something, you can order one for the table, and then everyone can just take a bite of it or something like that. So if everyone wants to just try a bite, then you can do that. We did that on this last cruise. Escargot was one of the appetizers. None of us really wanted to eat a whole plate of escargot, but we ordered a plate for the table, and so we all had one escargot so that we could say that we've had an escargot. It wasn't bad. Butter sauce was really good that was in. It's not something that I would order though, but it was the experience. So you can do that. Then they will have the entrees. Again, if more than one entree looks good to you, you can either share with someone at your table or something, or order one for the middle of the table, or you can just order a couple entrees. That is fine. Same with the desserts. So all of this is already included, and you get to have a nice sit-down meal. The water, tea, coffee are included in the price. If you've bought the pop package, then you can show your card there and they will bring you the pop. If not, that would be added on, so you'd have to have money on your card to do that. But I would say at least one night during your cruise you should try it. Though I went all except for one night, both cruises, and that was just because I had something else going on. So I ate at the Lido deck those nights. Also for the breakfast, I didn't do a breakfast this last cruise, but I did do it on the first cruise, and I'm not a morning person for the dining hall breakfast, but I was like, I want that experience. It was well worth it. I had steak and eggs, which meant I had a filet mignon, which if you don't know what that is, it is a nicely cut steak with bacon wrapped around it. I mean, it's real good. So I had steak and eggs for breakfast, which was nice. So I would give that a shot as well. Again, you would go down. It's usually only open for like an hour or so for breakfast, maybe a little bit longer, so you'll have to watch that. I was by myself, so I actually let them sit me at a table with other people that were by themselves to get in quicker. And so I got to have some interesting conversation. So don't be afraid to do that either. If you want to go, don't feel like you have to have a group. You can go by yourself. You can either sit at a table by yourself, or they can seat you at a table with some people, and then you get to know new people. Other restaurants on board, you'll have like I'm just going by memory, so this might be different, but burger place and pizza place next to the Lido deck, and those again are included. They're only open at certain times though, and you have to actually go up there and place your order and things like that. With the pizza, and I never did this, so again I'm not an expert, but there is a delivery system, and I do not know if that's extra or not. You'll have to look that up or ask someone. I know that there were quite a few guys on our trip that would have pizzas delivered to the room almost every night, and then around the ship at other times. So there is that option, so you can get pizzas. Then there's the restaurants that you will have to pay extra, but if you want to do that experience, go ahead, put money on your card, and have that experience. Those are like your sushi, your big steakhouse, so like if you want your specific cut of steak or something like that, it has the white linens and things like that. But your dining room will actually do a lot of that stuff too. But the sushi and whatever else might be on your ship, I don't know which ones are on your ship. Those do cost extra. I personally did not do those, but if you want to, go for it. Just make sure you have the money on your card to do that. If you do have the pop package, you can go up to any beverage station. I don't want to call them bars, but they are bars. Beverage station, and then ask for your pop. They'll just take your card. They might have to scan it, swipe it, but you usually have like a sticker or something on there that just shows that you have that package already, so you're not really being charged for it. There is a limit on how many you can have each day. I think it might be like 7. I never got up that high, but there is that limit. And that, from my experience when I went, if one person has the pop on their card, not everyone in the room has to have that. That was one thing that I personally bought it. The 2 girls in my room did not have it. So it was just me. You can also get your virgin strawberry daiquiris and virgin pina coladas. Those places, those were very popular with some of our dancers 4 years ago. So those are some options for you. I've done that. So yeah, so on to some of the helpful packing items, and I do have to apologize because I just gave most of these to my nephew to use, so I don't have demonstrations for most of them, but I think that you'll be able to figure it out. All of these, I think, yeah, all of these you can buy on Amazon, so if you have the Amazon Prime, it'll get here in time. Most of these you can buy at stores around here, so you can, Walmart or the sporting goods stores. I don't know what the new one in Swine is. But you can do that if you're having troubles getting these. If you don't have Amazon Prime, just let me know. I can help you out with that. But that was to only the Swedish folk dancer, so if you're watching this later, sorry, that doesn't apply to you. These are only the ones that I know right now. So first thing is packing cubes. So I do have a somewhat example, because this was a free version that I got on my last cruise. I have a set. My set actually was from IKEA, and it's a very nice set. I put my socks and underwear in one. I put my shirts and pants in another. The one I have has one side. I put shirts on the other side. I put the pants on. And then I have another one that could either be for dirty laundry, it could be for swimsuits, depending on how many clothes you take. Packing cubes are really nice because then you just grab whatever cube out you need for that. So with that, how much to pack is really dependent on who you are. I'm the type of person that I could wear the same outfit all day long and I'd be fine in it. There was a couple of girls that went last time. They brought a backpack, like a regular sized backpack. Packing geniuses. I'm not to that level yet. I just usually do a hiking backpack, one of the little bigger ones, or one of the suitcases. And hey, this battery's about to die too. So I get to splice again soon. I'm just going to keep going until it dies. And so it really depends on you. If you're going to the dining room, if you aren't sure about that, you're not sure that you want to, take at least one, pair of khakis or nice pants and a polo. They don't want you wearing flip-flops, swimsuits, and things like that into the dining room. So take something nice. Just take one. You can rewear your t-shirts a couple of times. There is laundry on the ship. It does, it's a pay laundry, so be aware of that. But there is laundry if you have to do laundry. Another thing I did is I washed things in our sink, and then I just used the dryers in the laundry room because it was taking too long out. The humidity was just too much. It wasn't drying in the room, so that's another option as well. So you can rewear things. If you are the type of person that likes to change clothes a lot, by all means, take a bigger suitcase. For me, I just like to pack light, and you're going to be doing trivia and all of that by the pool, and so you don't need to change a whole lot if you don't want to. Know what your excursions require so that you can bring those things as well. Just a reminder, most likely on that last day, you'll have to take whatever suitcase you brought, and you'll actually have to take it down the stairs to wherever your exit station is. So just be aware that you will have to carry it down the stairs or move it downstairs. Another thing that's nice is a wet bag, and this is a bag that you can put your swimsuit in or a towel or anything like that if it's wet before you leave the ship, so that when you put it in with the rest of your suitcase, everything's not getting wet. So that's really handy when going on a cruise. It just will make sure that all of your other stuff does not get wet. Microfiber towel. They will supply towels on the ship for you, both in your room for taking showers and at the Lido deck for the pool, things like that. If you buy a spa package, they have towels in there. But the microfiber towel is nice if you're going out at one of the ports and the beaches there. Sometimes they have towels. If it's a beach that the cruise line uses, they sometimes. And the cruise line will actually let you take their towels as well. But if you don't return with that towel, you can get charged for that. And also, it's just kind of big and bulky. The microfiber towels are really, really small. They're really thin, and they dry super, super quick. So that's just a thought that you can use if you want. I like them when I travel anywhere. That's what I use now. So a floating waterproof cell phone case. It doesn't really have to be floating. I like mine to be floating. And this is one of the things that I gave my nephew, so I don't have it to show. They have different ones. My dad and stepmom, theirs, if you want it to float, you have to actually put air into it, but theirs might seal a little bit better. But basically, this is a nice see-through case. You can take pictures through it, and it goes around your neck, and it floats. Note with this, and I didn't learn this until this last cruise, after the cruise, which kind of stinks because I missed some really potential good pictures. But if you're using that, you'll want to put your phone on picture mode by the volume buttons or whatever your phone uses, because the touch screen will not work through that under the water. Now, once you bring it out of the water, the touch screen will work. But under the water, you'll have to use something like the volume buttons or something that takes pictures. I did not learn that until after the cruise, unfortunately, but otherwise this works really well to take pictures. Luggage tag. You have the regular luggage, your regular luggage tag. The luggage tag that I'm talking about, and it last time one of the directors was kind enough to provide it for us. I don't know if they're providing it this year. But it is a plastic luggage tag. You can buy this on Amazon. For this past cruise, I bought them on Amazon, and they are for the ship's luggage tag. So it's not your regular luggage tag. This is for your ship's luggage tag. Otherwise, you just have to staple it, and then you risk it tearing off and or getting wet and not being able to be read. So this is one of those things that you don't have to have, but I found it really nice. The ones that I got for this last one actually have a metal twist-on loop, so it's nice and sturdy on your bag. And this just you insert the piece of paper luggage tag that they give you, have you print out, and then you can go from there. With that is the key card lanyard. So this is the one that I got on this last cruise. I was not sure that I was going to get them. So my luggage tag that I just talked about actually had the lanyards for your key cards. So you're going to get a key card just like you would for a hotel. There we go. And so this gets you into your room, obviously, but this is also what they will swipe if you're buying anything, if you're getting the drinks, or if you're buying souvenirs. They don't have, they have a few souvenirs on the ship that are the regular souvenirs. Otherwise, they're pretty high-end souvenirs. There was a candy shop on the first one that I went on. But otherwise, for me personally, they didn't have the lapel pins that we usually get for dancers. They didn't have those. So for me personally, the cruise ship gift shops aren't really worth it, but that's just me. I'd say buy your stuff at the port. But anyways, back to this lanyard. So yeah, this is what you have to have all the time. On this last cruise line, this actually even turned on our lights in our rooms. Like, you had to have this in your room to turn on the lights, which then made it even worse if you forgot it. Yeah. But so then you want, this is just a little plastic case with the lanyard, so you always have it. That way it's always visible. If you ever have a problem, or, you know, it tells you exactly, you know, well, it does not tell you the room number because you don't want someone, you know, finding it and then finding a room number. But it will give some information on there, your name and things like that. And it just makes it so much easier that you don't have to carry around a wallet or anything like that. You just have the lanyard around your neck. Because on the boat, you don't need the wallet because everything gets paid through here. So it's just very handy to have it around your neck. If you're wearing swim trunks, your swimsuit, whatever, you don't have to have pockets, you have the lanyard. With that, one of the things that was suggested last time was magnetic hooks. The walls of the ship are magnetic. They don't have very many magnets. Oh, that was another thing. I'll add that in just a second. They don't have very many hooks or things like that. And also one good thing, and we did use this, I did have some hooks. I didn't use my hooks except for this one purpose. But one of my other girls in my room used the hooks all the time. She had brought a bunch of hats, so she hung her hats up and made it kind of homey, which is nice. Go for it. But the one thing we used the hook for was to hang all these lanyards on right next to the door, so that you would always know where it was and you would just grab it as you were leaving the door. The last thing that I had given my nephew was it was an outlet adapter, I guess you would say. But when we went on the first cruise, there was only one outlet, so with 2 plugs on it for the entire room. With all of our electronic devices, that was not enough. So what I had gotten, and I'd gotten it for Christmas that year, so thank you, sister, for that. But it was for my other travels, was an outlet adapter that had 6 USB ports. The one that I personally got has the adapters for the entire world, so I can take this wherever I travel. But you wouldn't need that. You can even just get a little power strip with the USB ports. But it was really nice. We did use that because it had 6 USB ports. The 3 of us, we each got 2 USB ports every night. So whatever devices you wanted to plug in that night, we could do that. So we each had enough to do that. They do ask you not to leave that plugged in during the day while you're not there, so do respect that, but that is helpful, and not everyone in the room has to bring that. So if you want to collaborate and see who might have that, so if you're in my nephew's room, he already has that. Okay, I had gotten so close to making it, and yet I realize this now, and it's hooked up now, but why didn't I just plug it in? Okay, these are the things I'm learning, but again, I wanted to get this done and get this out there, so that's why this is rough. This is why it is unedited, except for splicing things together because I don't have my batteries charged. But yeah, so all in all, have a good time. Be, this is the mother in me. Be safe. Always know where your wallet is, where your passport is, all of those good things. I would suggest to, especially the sponsors, if you have those passports, stick them in the safe. Have the kids, if they're going on excursions out to port, if they can, have them carry a copy of their passport, not the actual passport. Leave the passport in the safe. With that, the safe, you come up with your own code. You can give that to the kids if you want. Otherwise, you can have the code and they can come find you. Download the app. The chat feature, it's iffy whether you can get the Wi-Fi and it can work, but it does work at times, and it's really good to have your schedule on that. I'm thinking of new things. It will update every day and show you what's available, and then you can add that to your schedule of what things you want to do, so that you can have your schedule, and it will actually alert you, hey, this is coming up, and it will tell you where it is and all of that. So download the app. But pack according to your personality. I found this out when we were trying to help my nephew out. Oops, sorry, puppy. That how I pack is not how he's going to pack. There are things that he's not going to want to do, and that is fine. Some of the event nights, you might not want to do them. That is completely fine. I'm the type of person that feels like I have to do everything, and I've had to learn that I can't, and that sometimes I have to take time for me. The way that I've done that the past 2 cruises is I've actually bought one of the spa packages. So it is they call it different things on different cruises, but it's basically a whirlpool with some different minerals and everything. And you have access to that, you have access to the saunas, and you have access to a relaxation room. And so I've bought those as a way to A, pamper myself, but B, if I don't do that, I won't really take time to relax. And so by buying that, I'm like, I spent the money on this. I need to actually go do that. And it's well worth it. Because I will go, even if it's just for 30 minutes, I will go and I will just sit there and just completely relax. And that's sometimes what you need. So sponsors, you can do that. Kids, you have to be 18. So if you're 18, talk to your parents. If you need that type of relaxation. If you're the type of person that doesn't feel the need to go to every single event and you can go lay on a lounge chair, by all means, kudos to you. If you're the type of person that wants to do every single event and that completely charges you and you don't need to relax for 30 minutes, do that too. Just remember to make this cruise work for you. And so do what you want to do. But do try a couple of new things. You never know that some of those things you might actually like. So do try a couple of things. But yeah, just have fun. It's the main thing. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Obviously, I have a lot of work on how to make this more professional. If you have any tips on that, I'd love to hear that too. But yeah, just go have fun. I can't wait to see pictures and hear stories. My nephew's probably not going to take many pictures, so take the pictures so that I can see. Calling him out there now. Okay, anyways, but yeah, let me know at least if any of this was helpful for you. Okay, safe travels. Bye.